Hey everybody, Brian Trout coming to you with your fly fishing forecast. The date today is Monday the 14th of November. So we got that really much needed rain. After a really dry September, a really dry October, the tropical weather that came through just a few days ago really dropped a lot of rain. So anywhere from 2 to 4 inches is what most folks saw over the western part of the state. So a lot of things actually got too big and blown up. And now everything's coming back down. So this week will be really interesting. We had a very mild October. For those of you who are out there hunting and fishing and enjoying it, it was 70 degrees during the day, and just like that, winter kind of just flipped the switch here last night. It was 23 degrees at my house this morning. They're calling for snow and freezing rain over the next day and a half. Later this week, they're calling for 2 to 3 nights in a row in the teens, with highs barely making it out of the 30s and 40s up in the mountains. So anyway, that's going to change this, that's going to flip the script a little bit on your fishing. So good news is we finally got the rain that we needed, and we have more snow and rain on the way, which is only going to help our flows improve. And now you just got to kind of dig into a little different mood or attitude for your fishing. Okay, so in the summertime when temperatures are up and it's hot in the middle of the day, most anglers, especially trout fishermen, will really focus on the morning hours, getting out there early, taking advantage of early morning hatches, taking advantage of low light and cooler temperatures. Well, that's all changed now. So when planning a day out, you really need to focus on your warmest hours of the day. All right, so when we've got 17, 18 degrees in the morning, it's going to take hours before it gets above freezing. The fishing is going to be slow. The nymphs on the bottom of the stream aren't getting that sunlight. They're not getting around and moving much. So you really want to focus on your warmer hours, your afternoon hours. All right, it's getting dark now as we approach the solstice. It's getting dark around a little after 5. But your warmest water temperature is going to be 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And even if they're only 3 degrees, 4 degrees warmer than the morning, that makes a really big difference. So try and focus on fishing in the afternoons. It's really going to help you out a lot, just as far as getting the fish's metabolism up and getting them moving. We're fishing a lot bigger and heavier trout flies now than we were for the last 2 months. Big, heavy, flows, dirty water, deeper water, switching back over from slightly unweighted nymphs or bead-headed brass nymphs to tungsten. All right, if you buy jigged flies nowadays, which have become more and more popular, most jigged flies are tied with tungsten. So not having to use split shot as much. I love jig flies. They fish upside down. They don't get hung on the bottom as much. And if you can avoid using split shot, it's nice. So if you're heading out and fishing some of our stock trout streams, delayed harvest waters, you're going from size 16 nymphs and 18 nymphs you may have been using over the last couple weeks, and you're going to go to size 14 nymphs, and instead of fishing brass, you're going to fish tungsten. Okay, that's just one of the things you want to do when the water gets up and the flow gets big and you really need to get down, because as things get colder, the fish are going to be deeper and deeper and stuck more on the bottom. So all of our state stock trout water, where the fish were stocked, introduced in the last month or two, and they've been very spooky, things are going to start to change as they get that cover over top of them, as they get that stain in the water. All right, and speaking of which, the state will be out, I'm sure, this week, hitting some of your favorite spots, stocking trout, because the water flows are finally what we need them to be. All right, so switching over a little bit, we're still leaving the brook trout alone and kind of staying off the brook trout streams until they move further along in their spawning process. So the larger rivers are pretty big. They got huge. The Shenandoah and the James, they got really bumped up. A much needed washing, pushing a lot of those leaves that were really littering and clogging up the stream down and out. They might get another little tiny bump middle of this week from the snow and the rain. But the musky fishing is going to turn back up, okay? This is exactly what musky anglers needed. We needed to get some color into the water. So it's going to be back to covering those big pools. Where do muskie live this time of year? They live where the forage food lives. The primary forage food being suckers, chubs, fall fish, soft-boned fish. Those suckers will really stack into the holes. So if you've got miles and miles of river and you have lots of transition water, you've got a lot of riffles and rapids, and then boom, you've got a huge long pool that's a quarter-mile long and very slow, and it's got parts of it that are 10 plus feet deep. That's where your suckers are going to be, and that's where your muskie are going to be. Okay, so a lot of things just kind of fell into play for the muskie fishing to ramp back up. The food is all in one place. The flows are getting right. The color, the water temperature, everything's getting right, and the leaves are out of the way. So, grab your 10 weight, grab your 11 weight, 450 grain sinking line, and get out there and start covering some water and pounding on them, and see if you can't get yourself a nice holiday muskie. So that's what we're going to focus on a little bit over the next couple of weeks. Between that and some trout fishing. Also the spring creeks, I know we've been talking about places like Mossy Creek and the Browns, what timetable are they on, what schedule are they on. It's a moving target a little bit. We've had reports and pictures of people catching some nice browns, but all in all, you can kind of tell that a lot of the browns are still occupied. And I expect to see more and more of them coming off the spawn and getting jazzed up to eat again here in the next week or so. So more on that, but getting some color into these spring creeks over the last couple of days. Folks have been out in force with streamers. So those of you who love streamer fishing and the water's been a little bit too low and clear over the last 2 months to streamer fish, and then you've been preoccupied with fishing terrestrials, as you should, through the summer, and tricos and things of that nature, this is when the streamer fishing really starts to take off. So those of you who love throwing big articulated flies in small creeks like Mossy Creek or Buffalo Creek, this is the time of year to do it. The conditions are all coming together. The fish are looking for that big score. There's not a lot of bugs around, and so trying to eat a big sculpin pattern and just kind of get that meal that they need on a cold winter day is what they're going to be looking to do. So look for your woolhead sculpins, your near enough sculpins. It's really important to have streamers that move a lot on their own. That way, if their metabolism is slow and they don't feel like chasing, you can dangle your fly, you can swing your fly, and it's got a lot of movement and a lot of enticement without leaving the strike zone so quick that they have to put in too much work, more work than they want to. So that's a little bit on streamer fishing. Hopefully we keep getting rain and snow, and we can get the groundwater kind of recharged. And as the vegetations die, which a lot of them have in creeks like Mossy Creek, the channels become much more open and a whole lot easier to cover with a streamer. All right. So anyway, there's a lot of positive news since last week's report. Some places like our big rivers need to calm down a little bit. Some places like our mountain brook trout streams need the fish to progress a little bit with the spawn and let some of those nests just kind of be for a while. But all in all, moving in the right direction, definitely getting more options to get out there on the water and enjoy yourself. So bundle up. For those of you who don't have any of it, we have Stanley's Ice Off Paste here. This stuff is awesome. You just put some into your guides, like right on your guides. So if you're gonna go fishing and it's below freezing, especially for the first couple hours of the day, and you don't wanna be popping ice out of your guides on every single cast, pick up a thing of Stanley's Ice Off Paste. It's really, really great. It just helps shed water, and you won't be as busy popping ice. You'll be more busy stripping line and catching fish. Also, we've got tons and tons of warm weather gear here in the shop. The fingerless gloves, the fold over mitts, and then lots of coats and jackets, hoodies, beanies, everything. So winter's upon us. Dress well when you go out there so that you get more time on the water. All right, as usual, if you have questions, please call us, email us, or our favorite, stop by the shop and see us. Take care.